Welcome back to Running with Coach Tori.
And Jeff.
And we are bringing you the running news for the week, whether it's to entertain you on your long run or to give you something to talk about with your running group. We've got you covered. This is take 2, so if it sounds weird, it's because I forgot what I already said. So hopefully better connections now. Instead of a running update today, we're going to do trivia again, running celebrity trivia. And we're going to skip the first one because I already asked you, so that would be cheating. But the answer was John Krasinski, and you guys can guess what the question was. Okay, so are you ready to get back into trivia?
I am. Let's bring it.
Okay. So this actor is known for doing his own stunts and running in every action movie he's in, including, this gives it away. I'm not going to tell you what movie. But known for doing his own stunts and running in every action movie.
I know the answer already.
Yeah. What are you going to tell me?
Is it Tom Cruise?
Sorry, I couldn't see you, and I was because I have the questions up, and I'm like, did you freeze again? It is Tom Cruise. I know. The question has Mission Impossible in the question. I'm like, well, that really gives it away. I'm going to skip that one. This Marvel superhero actor ran the New York City Marathon in 2019 with a time of 3:55. This is a hard one.
Oh, this is a hard one. I'm going to say the Marvel. I mean, how about the guy who plays the Joker, Joaquin Phoenix?
Is that Marvel? They did that Joker? Well, not him.
That's DC Comics.
Yeah, I was like, wait.
All right, then how about Iron Man? Iron Man, which is I don't even know who that actor is off the top of my head.
Yeah, I was gonna say Tony Stark.
Robert Downey Jr.
Yes, no, it's Edward Norton. I guess he was he the Hulk, but not He's most recent Hulk?
Isn't he not?
He's not the Hulk now, but he was the Hulk once.
No,
that's a tricky one.
Yeah, that's somebody else.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo. Clearly we know running and actors. Okay, let's do... All right, you've seen Friends, right? Or was Friends not your time? Okay. Which Friends star famously went for a jog in Central Park on the show with a bizarre flailing running style?
Oh, wow. I mean, I don't even know if I know the actors. I don't know the actors' names off the top of my head. I don't know if the characters' names. The tall guy who was always dating Rachel. Oh, it was a girl. Oh, I was actually talking to the guys.
Yeah. No, it's Phoebe. They had a whole running episode about how running is so hard, and Phoebe likes to go running in the park, and she runs like crazy. Like she says that she's running like a kid, but I'm like, some kids run fine. But yeah, she's basically like, if you go running like a kid, it's so fun. And so then her and Rachel go running like crazy people in the park.
All right, she's going to show you. I've seen maybe a half dozen episodes, I should say. I've seen probably more than that. But she the one that sings "Smelly Cat"? Is that the blondish one? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's her. Which legendary Beatle was known to jog in Central Park, often unrecognized by fans?
Not Ringo Starr, not Paul McCartney. The guy who was shot, and again, I'm going to go Paul McCartney.
Mm-hmm.
Was it really Paul? Okay,
I couldn't name any. Yeah, I know. I was kind of surprised. Going unrecognized seems weird. Which actor and former SNL star ran the New York City Marathon in 2008 in a banana costume? Because we love a costume.
We do. Wow, that's a tough one. Eddie Murphy.
No, I feel like that's a good guess. I feel like he would do that, but no, it was Will Ferrell.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say that also tracks, right? Also, I don't know if Eddie Murphy was on SNL, but I also know nothing about SNL.
Yeah, he was, but it was many years before then, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Last one. Which actor and comedian ran a 4:29 mile for a Nike ad, proving his real running chops?
Oh, that's a pretty
I wouldn't
broad
have guessed.
category. That could be a lot of people. You just said an actor. That's it. That's the only clue I get.
Actor, comedian, but he did it for a Nike ad.
That doesn't narrow it down a lot for me. Nike. Oh man, Nike. I got Nike. I got comedian. I got actor. Um, so is it an athlete that became an actor? An actor that was an athlete?
Slash
I got.
comedian.
What's that?
I said slash comedian.
Slash comedian. Uh, Chris Rock.
I feel like you're in a similar realm, but no, Kevin Hart.
Ah, damn it! I should have known that one.
I know, I'm kind of surprised Kevin Hart can run that fast.
Yeah, yeah, not yeah, yeah. No, I'm surprised too. Isn't he relatively again? Isn't he relatively short? I'm kind of hating on short people.
Yeah, I think he's like shorter than I am, so yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
not that that should make an impact on your mile time. So
I
he's right. He can
know.
run faster than I can.
I was gonna say I can't run a 4:29 mile either, so
Mm-mm.
what do I
Nope.
know? All right, well that's all I got. There was more questions, but I was like, some of these are just too abstract. So we're gonna call it there. I actually, believe it or not, I did a little bit of research because I looked at the stories you sent, and then I was like, I need to have somewhat meaningful things to say. So I did minimal research, but more than none, which is what I usually do for the stories. So, can you guess which story I did research for and start with that one?
I'm gonna say Sydney McLaughlin. So
Yeah.
so I'll start with that one. Is so Sydney McLaughlin, uh, who's won the last two Grand Slam events, both Jamaica and Miami, in the 400-meter hurdles. She's now going to switch in Philadelphia to do the 100-meter hurdles, which, for those who don't know, so that the way the Grand Slam works, you have to do the 100-meter hurdles and the 100 meters, open 100 meters, as the two events in that category to win. So I'm not sure why she's doing this. To me, and she's run these events before in college, so she is good. I looked at her times. To give you a perspective, the winner in Miami for the 100 meters was 11:09, and she's run 11:07 before. So her best is 11:07. So she's capable of winning. In the hurdles, she's run 12:65, 12 seconds, 12.65 seconds. The winning time in Miami was 12:17. So she'd be certainly in the ballpark. I think she would have been third in Miami or fourth, if with her best time. Now, can you run your best time? So I guess my question to you is, what do you think is going on here? Why would she give up almost an automatic $100,000 that she could win? She's won the two previous Grand Slams easily in the 400 meters and the 400-meter hurdles.
Now, and I should have, this is how much research I didn't do. Because she's like one of the, what is it, the competitors, or she's one of the, yeah, what are the categories of people in the Grand Slam called again? It was like the whoever's and the challengers. She's like one of the staple people, right? Now, did they have a contract?
Yeah, sorry, you're frozen.
Oh no, I'm losing you. Did they have? Oh, you're back. Okay. So let me just start my whole thing over. Can you hear me?
I can. Did you? Yeah, you zotted out on my end.
Oh, okay. I didn't lose you until I was answering your question. So we'll have to cut that out. But so I think, I guess first, is there, since she's like one of the people who's said to be at all of the Grand Slam events, I'm imagining there's like something in the contract that she like has to run in each of them. I don't know if there's any money involved in that as well, of being like a part of the original team or whatever it is. Obviously there's money for winning, but my guess is, and we talked about this, I think last week when we talked about her, and I mentioned like a little worried because she really doesn't compete that often. If like this was her way of still committing to being there, doing the whole, once a month kind of thing that she's not usually competing that often, and still being a part of it, still doing what she has to do, but like she's not actually going to risk, hopefully, an injury or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? Like that's the only reason I can imagine she would do this. Although, I mean, we've seen like she was only doing the 400 hurdles and then was like, oh, actually, I can do the open four and still do really well. So she also might just be like, sorry, I got distracted by the people behind me looking in the car. Um, she also might just be like, what else can I do? Why not? And like you said, her times prove that she can actually do probably well. And that was college times, you said. So, I mean, she's only gotten better from here. So, who's to say she won't be better in those events as well? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yep. No, I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm going to go with a little bit more. I don't think it's conspiracy theory, but like I got to believe that maybe Michael Johnson, the promoter for this event, for these Grand Slam track events, is creating a little bit of news. Maybe is he incentivizing her to say, hey, well, maybe I'll do a little bit different event. Otherwise, I think you're going to get the same result in Philadelphia and LA if she just does the Open 400. It's almost like it's not even in question. Where all of the other events, I feel like there's at least a risk the top person could lose, even if they've repeated in the first two events. They're close. So I
Mm-hmm.
think I feel like maybe there could be a little bit of, all right, it's not really, we don't want the same thing four times. People will get a little bit bored with that. So maybe it's a little bit of incentive. And again, maybe he's modified her contract. Maybe it was in her contract originally. To your point, maybe she doesn't want to run the open four times. Although it feels to me like I don't know how much she could cruise, she could coast, she could do it almost like a training run, and
Mm-hmm.
she's winning by 10 yards or more in a
Right.
400, which is a lot. So, these haven't been close. So I think she could dial it back and still win. So that's why I wonder whether it's more of a newsworthy story by doing the 100 versus the 400.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely possible too. And like we've talked about before, um, hoping that this gets a lot of traction, but also it's kind of seeming like, at least for now, like you mentioned when you were there, the stadium's not super full. And it takes time for stuff to grow. So yeah, trying to make something even like more interesting than already kind of changing it up, like you said. Watching her be amazing is great and all, but it's like, okay, we've seen it a bunch and we don't usually even see it this much in a year, probably. So now it's like, all right, we watched her crush everybody a bunch of times. Let's see what else she can do. Um, and I think the thing about her too is, I mean, obviously, I'm not like so hip on the track news ever. But I feel like she's not someone we know a whole bunch about outside of like, she runs really well and she's kind of like unstoppable. We don't know a whole lot about her anything else like outside of that. So it's hard to kind of think into like how she like is she doing this to help Michael Johnson, create buzz? Is this just like a fun thing for her? Is it like, you know what I mean? It's hard to kind of predict when you don't feel like you know someone outside of just like she's focused and she runs, you know what I mean?
That's funny you say that because at the Grand Slam event they had an interview on the big screen of her, and she said one of the biggest complaints she gets is she doesn't show any personality on the track. She's not a Noel
Mhm.
Miles where she's waving her arms and look at me type of person. She's just as you said, like she does her business. She goes there. It's like a business type attitude, and she delivers, which I find impressive and refreshing and great. Um, so I think maybe there is a third possibility besides whether it's dialing it back or whether it's an incentive by Michael Johnson to maybe make some buzz. Is it? It could also be her own ego saying, "Hey, I'm so good. I think I can take the 100,000 in this event too. Let me show the world how good I am." It doesn't strike me that's her personality, at least from the interview I saw on the screen. She struck me as very humble, very down to earth, and didn't seem like that kind of person. Um, and again, nothing wrong with that, by the way. I'm just saying that didn't seem like her personality. It seemed like
Right.
she's much more of, as you said, she doesn't run that often. Um, she doesn't seem like a look at me category person. So, yeah, I'm gonna say I'm gonna go with Michael Johnson. We may never know, but that's my vote.
Yeah, no, I we'll never know, right? So, I mean, I hope it goes well, and it definitely will be fun to watch. Um,
You
and
think
I will
she'll
admit
win?
my, huh?
Do you think she'll win?
Um, yeah, because so this is how much my research was crap. I didn't even think to look at if she'd ever run these events before. I was like, I just completely bypassed that idea in my mind. I was like, I wonder how we can project out like how well she'll do. So then I'm like trying to compare her to like who else runs the 100 and has run the 400 professionally, and like how do those times compare? So I'm like looking like, okay, Flojo ran this time and she also ran this time in the 100. So maybe she'll run around that time. So like dumb. Whereas you had like real information about how well she does in these events. So yeah, I mean, I would think so, because again, we've talked about like, not to say that like the short sprint category is not top tier, but I think there are some key players missing from those really short sprint distances in the Grand Slam track. So, yeah, I think with those times, like I think she might do well.
Yeah, because I think what's different about this event, like the hurdles events, unlike I'll call it the 800, 1500 category, right? In that group, you do have some 800-meter specialists and some 1500-meter specialists. In
Mm-hmm.
the short hurdles and the long hurdles, you really have hurdlers. Right? You
Mm-hmm.
don't have a 400-meter person who's suddenly going to be say, "Oh, I'm an open 400 guy, but I'm going to do the hurdles in the
Right.
Grand Slam event." They're all 8 competitors are hurdlers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that is a little bit different for that type of event because it's such a skill. Someone can't be an open 400 and then just say, I'm the best 400 guy. I'm going to go out and do hurdles, where you can be a
Right.
hurdler and go out and run a 400. So I think that is a little bit different. Um, so yeah, you have all hurdlers doing the 100 meters. They're all good, but they're not world class 100-meter runners. So we'll see. I'm going to say she gets beat. That's just
Oh,
since you're going to go, she's going to win it. I'm going to go. No, I'm going the other side. She's going to lose. She's not going to get 100,000. She's going to get third, which I don't know what that is. I mean, it's 50,000 for second. So I don't know. So maybe she's getting 40 grand, 30 grand. So
we'll
giving that
see.
money up, giving the money up, man. All right. Next story
Yikes.
we had, since before I get into the ultra marathon world, let's go into the dogs. Since I've been hating on dogs probably every episode we've ever done, um,
Uh-huh.
I'm going to go with there's a story here about uh, the how dogs really help people both mentally and physically by helping them get out and run. So their research, this is ASICS, did some research, and 65% of dog owners reported that their primary motivation to get out and move was their dog. Their dog wants to go out, wants to go for a run. So where they wouldn't normally go out and do a run, they're motivated to do that because their dog wants to do it. I don't know about this research. It seems a little sketchy to me. 79% of dog owners reported feeling less stressed after moving with their dog, and 81% said moving with their dog improved their mental health. Um, Now, I don't doubt, I mean, directionally, I believe it. Yeah, statistically, I'm not sure those are the right numbers, but I'm going to go with it and say dogs do help people both physically get it moving and mentally with their mental health. Now, I'm not a dog owner currently, had dogs when I was a kid, but what do you think? You're a dog owner.
Um, no, I agree with you that these statistics are kind of sus, but I will say like everyone, doctors, psychologists, like everybody says, um, get a dog and you'll be healthier, right? Like that's I think one of the first things a lot of doctors will say when someone's like overweight or needs to start some kind of exercise was like, you don't have a dog, maybe get a dog, you'll walk your dog. Elderly people, again, there's studies to suggest or statistics to suggest that owning a dog and having to take care of something, helps you live longer, and stay sharper. So like there is validity to that. I think those are just inflated statistics and people wish they walked their dogs that much, because I know a lot of people with dogs, and I know some people who walk their dogs religiously every day, multiple times a day. I know people who take their dogs for runs, and I know a lot of people who they're like, I don't walk my dog. My dog goes in the yard. Like I know there's dogs that don't go on walks, and I think the majority is more of these dogs that are not going on walks. Um, so yeah, so I think people more those statistics might be like self-reported. I wish I took my dog for a
Yeah.
run, kind of thing. And I bet they do feel better when they do take their dog out. But yeah, I think that's a little a little sketchy. But I mean, if for nothing else, when I take the dog for a run, not only do I feel better because I ran, but also the dog is not acting like a lunatic in the house because now he's tired. So, that is kind of helpful for everybody when he's more calm and relaxed. Um, so yeah, I don't know. People say dogs like bring your stress down, but I'm like, I love having a dog, but if I didn't have to clean up after them, clean up the house after them, stop them from doing nonsense all the time, like I think they are stressful too.
Yeah, this is my commercial for cats. I love cats, so um, but I will say I think there's a couple things. One is I think there's a lot of research that does show that exercise and fitness is as effective as most of the mental health related drugs, right? So for depression and other events. So, but it's difficult when you're in a depressed state to go out and exercise. So if the dog is the kind of medicine that you need that will help get you out and get your mental health status there, perfect. So I'm going to say I'm going to clarify my position. My position is dogs should never be on a group run with in like an official racing event. Never.
Right.
But
Never.
I do think dogs are great from a standpoint if they can get you out of the house and running and again just animals themselves they do warm your heart, man. They're awesome. I don't just love cats. I love dogs too, and raccoons and possums and other things too. But so I'm going to say, yeah, I'm a big fan of the animals. So that concludes my animal position for today.
Yeah.
Last story I had was on the Cocodona 250, which is actually 256, but it seems like a weird name to be the Cocodona 256. I don't know whether you saw any of the story there, but just to give people a perspective on this race, this is in Arizona. It's a 256-mile race through Arizona, typically hot, but this year was not hot. This year they faced rain and hail. Um,
Mm.
that in the first this is in the first 36 miles of the race, and that's only you're probably at the what 15% mark at 36 miles. With for most people, I mean, obviously that's 10 miles past a marathon. So I can't even imagine what it takes to run 256 miles. And just to give you perspective, the winner on the men's side, it took him 58 hours and 47 minutes to complete the 256. That's 4.4 miles an hour. So you could think that's maybe slow compared to one like a top marathoner, but this is also trail running. The elevation is 40,000 feet up, and it's a combination of all of the ups that you have to go up, and you go up and down. And again, to put that in perspective, if you were to climb Mount Everest, that's 29,000 feet. So the ups and downs, the combination of all the ups are 40,000 feet in elevation. So it's massive climbing, running uphill, which, as you know, just from running that Delaware marathon, hills are a killer in running. So I thought that was, just the effort it takes, the training it must take. I know what it takes to train for a marathon. I can't even imagine what it takes to train for run 256 miles over 5 days. It takes, you're talking about 50 some hours, 58 hours. On the women's side, it was 63 hours. Rachel and Trekken won that. That's about 4 miles an hour. So it's 4.4 for men, 4 miles for women per hour. Again, insanely impressive. And the only ultra marathoner that I sort of know is Courtney Dahlwalter, and she was actually in the race, right? And she was the overall leader, not just the women's leader, but the overall leader at mile 77. And unfortunately, at mile 108, she had to drop out reporting that basically her entire body just was shutting down. So um, she's she's phenomenal. I think she won last year, the year before. She won Western States, the UTMB, and if I recall, the rock and roll or the hard rock marathon. So I think she's done a ton of these, and she is the GOAT on both the overall category and the women's category. Any reaction to the people who run the Cocodona 250?
Yeah, I mean, I have like no perspective, right? Like, I think the farthest I ever ran was 30 miles over however many hours we took to do that one race. Um, so yeah, I mean, I can't even imagine. And again, I would guess the average times are factoring also in like resting, because that is, 3 days worth of time. So there does need to be some kind of at least bathroom breaks, if not like sitting down for a little bit to close your eyes for 10 minutes or whatever it is. So again, like that is just incredible. Um, yeah, and I was surprised when I saw that Courtney had dropped out, and not surprised enough to read what happened. And I figured you would tell me. So, yeah, it is always shocking when you see someone who, again, it was 2 years ago, was so dominant. And then to still see that they have bad races. I feel like sometimes you can start to get like skeptical or whatever of like, well, what's going on? Why was she so good before and not now, or whatever it is? But I think if you come at it from a slightly different lens of like, that does show that, us regular people also like, yeah, they can be incredible and then they have bad days. And, it's also good to see that she was like not that positive about it. I'm sure she was like devastated that her race didn't go how she wanted, but like, she's able to reflect on it, talk about it, and kind of just like, doesn't always work out for me, right? And then it's not like she's like, oh, I hate running now, I'm never gonna run, because I also think some of us, like, when things go bad or we're like, we don't finish a race or whatever, you're kind of just like, this isn't for me, I'm not gonna run this distance anymore, I'm not gonna do this anymore. So I think it's always nice to see, as much as I'm sure it sucks, having people who are that incredible DNF something, but kind of reminds us of like getting knocked down, getting back up kind of thing. And, not everything's always perfect. Like you said, the race was not how people expected that weather, I'm sure, to be. And that can definitely take a toll on you, if not physically being wet and hailed on, but like the mental side of like, this is not what I expected. I think that also just is using some of your energy if you aren't able to kind of just cut that thought off pretty quick. So yeah, so no,
Yeah,
always impressed with the ultra runners.
yeah, I think that's right. I think it's a great point. I mean, I think we think these people are like superhuman. At least I do. That they don't have a bad day. That they're capable of running 256 miles, and it's just a matter of pacing yourself. And no, you can get into a situation where you didn't fuel right. You make the same mistakes marathoners make. I mean, I'm sure something like this, these ultra marathons, all those little mistakes get even magnified worse, right? When you're doing a marathon, maybe you can survive with some bad nutrition and some bad hydration, because it is only a 2 to 4 or 5 hour effort. You're talking about 60-hour effort. Yeah, you got to get everything dialed in um, to keep moving. And I can't imagine how. I mean, the pain and discomfort that you feel at the end of a marathon. I can't imagine being in that kind of condition for not just hours, not just minutes, hours, days of discomfort. You got to really be comfortable being uncomfortable.
For
So,
sure.
yeah. So I think, again, mad props to the people, Dan Green for the male winner and Rachel and Check-in for the female side. I do think ultra marathons are interesting. I did watch a little bit of it on YouTube. It's insane what they're capable of doing. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. No, incredible. Always impressed. Um, Sometimes it makes me feel like, oh, it would be so cool to do that. And then I'm like, maybe not. I actually was just looking at races. For one of the people I coach was looking for something. And as I was just scrolling through, I came across that race that we did. And then there's also another one that has like a 3-hour, 6-hour, 12-hour option. And I'm like, oh, that kind of was really fun. Like maybe. But then also I remember that like my knees were messed up for days, and I also was very ill prepared. So, but I don't think I'm doing that. I was probably leaning more towards like the Philly 10K, but whatever. My only story, not even a story, just me pulling from headlines to have a slight conversation. But I had been seeing for a while that like everyone keeps talking about, again, I don't know, because I'm not reading this stuff. I'm just looking at the articles people are writing about. Doctors or whoever, professionals, experts are saying that, if you start taking up running, if you sign up for a half marathon or a marathon, after your 40s, it's a midlife crisis or whatever. And I always just think that's like something silly, but like also probably true. And then I saw an article yesterday that it's now people having a quarter life crisis. Everyone who's having a quarter life crisis in their 20s is taking up long distance running. And so like I definitely did not have that, but as someone who went through their midlife, do you feel like you sparked up running as a midlife crisis, Delio, or can you relate to why that's happening to people?
Yeah, I don't know. There is a little bit of, you do become aware of the fact that, yeah, you're partway through your life, whether it be quarter, half, last quarter of your life. And yeah, you do want to try to accomplish something, and those may be things that do spark something that's already inside you. I mean, as you know, I ran throughout my entire life, right? So, high school, college, there were certainly points where I went year plus when I didn't run, but always seemed like I came back to running. So, but I don't recall there being like a crisis in my mind where I'm like, you know what, I'm either going to start buying a sports car, although I did own sports cars too. So maybe you know what, I'm going to say yes, I did have some midlife crisis.
Oh no.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah.
You get the first quarter down, right? So did you have a quarter life crisis?
No. So that's what I was just thinking. That would have what, like 25? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, my crisis probably was that I like enmeshed myself way too much in work and then like could not get out of that and just fell deeper and deeper into that hole. But no, I mean, I don't think I was really doing anything that, again, like also ran my whole life. And yeah, I don't think I got more into running. Maybe if I had like other things going on. But again, I'm a couple years out from midlife, right? 15 or so or whatever. I can't even do math now. So maybe by then I will have signed up for, one of those ultras and be really deep into that, because at that point also, not only will it be midlife, but I will be like empty nesting around that time, I believe. So, I could just be losing my mind and have to get really into something. So,
well, to bring it all home, if you want to watch a movie about what I would consider maybe a quarter life crisis of somebody who took up running, is it Brittany Runs a Marathon?
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
That's my recommendation for that movie.
Yeah, and maybe we'll have to watch that movie again, and then we'll do another recap of that movie and see if I change my opinion on it for like the third time of how I feel about Brittany Runs a Marathon. I might have some really nuanced ideas, who's to say? But yeah, check out Brittany Runs a Marathon. That's all I've got. I'm guessing that's all you've got.
Yep.
Done. All right, done and dusted. Well, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Give us a review. Again, 5 stars only, but you can say whatever you want. Now that there's video, if you have things to say about the video, please let me know. Hopefully our internet connection is better next week without the rain. I'm going to blame the rain because that's much I don't understand technology. We'll catch you next week.